Hey everyone, I'm Liz and today I'm going to show you how to make a wire skeleton for your dolls. You can use this technique to give your doll's body more support or to make the doll posable. This skeleton is easy to make, is very strong, and it can support a variety of poses. And you can make it in any size you like. For this tutorial you'll need some wire. I'm using 22 gauge craft wire. I like this wire because it's a little thinner and easier to bend with your hands. But you might want to use something to bend your wire, like some pliers. You'll also need something to cut your wire. You might also want to use something to measure each part of the skeleton to make sure it's the right size. You'll need to crochet a doll to add the wire to. I'll be using this doll. You can find the video tutorial or the written pattern for this doll by clicking the link on the screen or checking the description below. I'll be making my doll after I finish making the skeleton and adding the skeleton to the doll as I make it. And if you want, you could use a yarn needle and some yarn in the same color as your doll to sew the skeleton in place so that it doesn't shift around inside the doll. If you want, you could use a regular needle and thread to do this too. I'm going to begin my doll's skeleton at the top of the head. So the first thing I'm going to do is to fold down about a ½ inch at the tip of my wire so that the sharp end stays inside the head and doesn't poke through the top of the doll. Then I'm just going to unravel the wire for the full length I want the doll to be, from head to foot. And that's going to be about 12 inches. So I'm going to unravel the length of the body, then the length of the legs, then the foot. I like to include the length of the foot in this, but you don't have to if you aren't making the ankles posable. So I unraveled about 12 inches of the wire. Next I'm going to fold the bottom of my wire into a loop. Then I'm going to unravel the full length of one leg from foot to hip. That's going to be about 7 inches. So I'm going to fold that up, and then at the 7-inch mark, I'm going to coil this piece of wire around this piece of wire to join them together. This folded part is going to be the first leg. Now I'm going to make the other leg the same way, but in reverse. I'm going to unravel about 7 more inches of wire, and then fold the bottom into a loop. Then unravel the full length of the body again, and coil it around at the 7-inch mark. And then fold it all the way up to the top of the head. And now I have 2 legs. Now I'm going to wrap this piece of wire around this piece of wire at the top. And form a loop. Then I'm going to continue to coil the wire around these wires from the top of the head to the bottom of the neck to lash those wires together. I'm going to coil until I reach about 2½ inches down. Alright, I've reached the end of the neck. Now I'm going to do the same thing I did to create the legs down here to make the arms. I'm going to unravel the length I want for the arms from shoulder to hand. That's going to be about 5 inches. And then fold the bottom into a loop. Then unravel the full length of the arm again and coil it around the 5-inch mark. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side to make the other arm. Unravel about 5 inches, fold the bottom into a loop, then unravel the full length of the arm again and coil it at around the 5-inch mark. Okay, now I've got the rough skeleton done. If you want, you could just leave it like this if you just want to add some structure to the doll. But if you want to make the doll posable, you should add some strength to your skeleton by coiling the wire around the whole thing. So just like I did at the neck, I'm going to coil my wire around these 2 pieces of wire at the stomach to lash those wires together. And when I get to the leg, I'm going to do the same thing. Coil the wire all the way down to the bottom. And I'm going to leave this loop at the bottom. Then I'm going to turn the skeleton slightly and I'm going to coil the wire back up the other way to get to the next leg. Alright, now I'm going to do the same thing on the other leg. I finished coiling my wire around the legs. Now I'm going to coil the other way back up the stomach until I get to where the arms are. And I'm going to do the same thing I did at the legs. I'm going to coil all the way to the bottom and leave the loop at the bottom. And then coil back up the other way. Alright, I finished coiling my doll's arms. Next I'm going to coil the wire back up the neck to the top of the head. Alright, I coiled the wire of the entire skeleton. If you're using a thicker wire, you could leave it like this and cut off your wire. But I'm going to coil around the whole thing one more time just to give it a little more strength, since the wire I'm using is so thin. Now I've finished coiling the wire all around the skeleton 2 times, and I've gotten back to the top of the head. Now I'm going to cut off my wire with a little bit of excess, and I'm going to coil that excess back down for about a 1/2 inch so that the sharp end stays inside the head and doesn't poke through the doll. Now I've finished making my skeleton. And then I'm going to add my skeleton to my doll. I finished making about halfway down the doll's body before making the arms and legs. So now I'm going to take each of the arms of the skeleton and I'm going to bend them so they're reaching up. Then I'm going to insert them in through the armholes of the doll like it's putting on a shirt. Then once the arms are through, I'm going to pull the neck up into the head of the doll. And now the skeleton is inside the doll, so I'm going to finish making the arms and legs. Once again, you can find the tutorial for how I made this doll in the description below. Once I finish making my doll, I'm going to attach the skeleton to the doll so it doesn't shift out of place. This is entirely optional if you want to skip this step. So I'm going to start with the arms. First, I'm going to find the loop at the end of the arm, and I'm going to push that loop at the end out of the material. Then I'm going to use a yarn needle and some yarn of the same color, and I'm going to sew the end of the loop to the doll's arm. And once I finish sewing, I'm just going to pull that loop back into the doll. And I'm going to sew in this end. Then I'm going to do the same thing with each loop of the wire skeleton. And now my doll is complete. Don't forget to check out the doll tutorial I used in this video. Find that video and more of my basic doll tutorials at the end of this video, or you can find the link to the written pattern in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did and want to support me in making new videos, consider donating to my Patreon page. It's entirely optional, but if you do, you can get some perks, like having access to my videos a week before they're posted here on YouTube. You can find more information about that in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!